Internet friends, my name is Catherine and I'm the human behind Christian Miss Couture, and today is another Color Wheel Monday, the series in which I make my way through color theory one color at a time. And today we are going to be adding Green Kelly to our Blazing Orange. So we've so far completed the primary colors, and now we're working our way through the secondary colors. So we've completed Electric Violet, and now we are almost done with Blazing Orange. So this time we're adding the Kelly Green, and next week we are going to be doing the True Black and the Orange Fade that we usually do at the end, to see what happens when we are working with different depth of shades of the orange. So let's get into this. Welcome back to another Color Wheel Monday, the series in which I make my way through color theory one color at a time. So what we've worked on so far, we've done the triangle of the primary colors. We've been working on the secondary colors. We've completed the Ultra Electric Violet one, and now we're working our way through Blazing Orange. So I still have leftovers from previous videos of Blazing Orange. So today we're going to be swatching with Kelly Green. I'm expecting a lot of bleeding coming from those two colors combined. So we're going to start by doing a stock solution of our Kelly Green. What is a stock solution? It's the liquid form of our dyes. So we want to do a 1% stock solution, which is 1 gram of the dry powder for 100 milliliter of water. So that way we can do easy math. But the first thing you need to do before you even open the jar of dry powder is put on a respirator. It doesn't have to be this exact brand, but you have to find something that will block the fine particles from getting into your lungs. We don't want to breathe in the dry powders because you only have one pair of lungs. Please protect it. Okay. So now what we're doing, we're going to calculate 1 gram. And it's important to make sure that your scale is at 0 when you start measuring anything. Okay, so now that the dry powder is no longer dry, we can remove our respirator. So we want to try and make sure that there's no clumps of dry powder anywhere. You could use a milk frother. It would be much more, it would be better than what I'm doing right now, but you don't have to. You just have to work a little harder if it's with a spoon. Okay, now we have our 100 milliliter. That's perfect. Yeah, so the main reason I'm using those specific colors is because most of them are part of the starter pack that you can purchase from Dharma Trading Co.'s website. If you go on their website on the citric, like the acid dyes, at the bottom you will find the starter pack option, and it also comes with True Black and I think a pound of citric acid, so you can get started. Try with experimenting with color theory and swatching colors and see if you have fun and if you like dyeing yarn. So perfect. So what I want to do now is, since I want Blazing Orange to be the main character here, I'm going to pour 10 milliliter of the 1% stock solution because I want a 1% depth of shade. So, and since we're using 10 gram mini skeins, this is why we are using 10 milliliter. Okay, I have my little thingy. Okay, so we're going to be pouring 10 milliliter of the Blazing Orange in each of the mason jars. And there's currently no citric acid at all in any of the jars because we want a slower strike to the yarn for the color so we can have a more even coverage. And perfect. So that's for the Blazing Orange. And now we're going to be adding Kelly Green, which has a tendency to want to be a main character. And we're going to do from 0.05 depth of shade, percent depth of shade, to 1% depth of shade for Kelly Green. So we will be able to have a nice gradient of the color and see how they interact with each other. And you can already see that this one is, and it's just 2.5 milliliter. So She likes to be the main character. And like I mentioned, Kelly Green is known for bleeding, and Blazing Orange is also known for bleeding, so I'm expecting to be working a little bit harder on those skeins when it comes times to washing them off. Okay, so let's just stir a tiny bit. I think we're going to have nice brown that turns to green. So we'll see what we get. Okay, let's add the yarn. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up and down. Oh, it gives a nice ochre color. Nice. Up and down like this, opening up the skeins to try to avoid having too much. Oh, that's almost yellow now. Yes, to try to avoid to have too much resist within the jar, so we can have a more even coverage of the color. And we're already in the green. Yeah, it doesn't really take a whole lot of the green Kelly to overpower everything, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what you want to do. Because you might want that. Bye bye, Blazing Orange. It was nice to meet you. I guess if you wanted to make your Kelly Green a little bit more warm, you could just add orange to it. Because this is what I feel it's going to give a warm and bright green. Yeah, it's giving a very bright green. It's fine. Okay, so I will be putting those into the double boiler. So we still don't have any citric acid as of right now, but we're going to be waiting 10 to 15 minutes to add citric acid, so that way we can give a little chance to the color to strike more evenly through the skeins. So see you in about 15. Okay, so perfect. As expected, we have some color left in the pot, but it's all good. We're going to let it cool off completely. Some of the color will finish to that in the cooling process. Once it's completely cooled off, we'll be able to wash it off and let it dry overnight. So see you in a bit. Okay, so I'm speeding it up because I've left it in the bath to clean up the excess dyes for quite some time. So we're just going to speed it up to get there because we don't have 15 minutes to wait for this to be cleared up. So I was expecting a little bit of work to be done here because I was observing a slight coloration in the mason jars, which I will show you just right after that. So, and even right here, there's a slight color in it. So just to make sure that we don't have any bleeding that occurs when you get the yarn, we are just going to do an extra rinse just to make sure that we've removed all excess dyes as much as possible, at least. Depending on your water at home, you might still experience some bleeding. So after that, we're going to put it in a spin dryer and let it dry overnight. And you can see in the last ones, there is a hint of colors. So that's it. And here's the final result of adding our green Kelly to blazing orange. So compared to when we did the adding blue to the carabiner blue to our blazing orange, we have a much more gradual fade of color going from the orange to our deep green here. So we won't have a green that is as vibrant as the Kelly green. However, we will have a beautiful deep color that kind of reminds me of, you know, on an emerald, you have the beautiful vibrant emerald color, but where there's shade, this reminds me of the shades you can have in an emerald, which is very beautiful. So you will have a less intense and drastic shift of color. I think I have, yeah. So if you compare it to when we added the carabiner blue right here, the shift of color is much more gradual, where this one was just like dramatic. So this is the main difference when you're playing with different colors, because in the green Kelly you do have some yellow. In a blazing orange you do have some yellow, which will affect the final result for this one. And this is probably why we have a much more gradual here, where this one, the blue was like very intense. It's carabiner blue. It just wants to be, it wants to be the main person. It's the main character. So this is the main difference. So this is why it's important to play with the colors and experiment a little bit. And I hope you've liked the video. And if you did, please consider sharing, liking, and subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one very soon. Bye.